Outside the Box Reviews, Giant Monster Monday. We are taking a look at the Bandai Tamashii Nations SH Monsterarts King Kong figure from the 2005 Peter Jackson remake of King Kong. And I have mixed feelings about the Peter Jackson Kong. I much prefer the original. There's just kind of a movie magic in the original that a CG creature just can't replicate for me. But I figured it was pretty unlikely that Monsterarts was ever going to put out an original version of Kong from the 30s, and probably no chance of them doing the Toho version. So if I wanted to have any semblance of a King Kong versus Godzilla going on, I knew I had to pick this guy up. And Kong comes fully loaded. He actually reminds me a lot more of the Figuarts figures than the Monsterarts figures, because he just comes with a ton of interchangeable hands and accessories. So let's take a closer look and see if the 8th wonder of the world is also the 8th wonder of the toy store. Kong comes with a display base. It's a very large circular base, very different than the standard Tamashii stages. It does have a similar Tamashii arm and also a very, very large claw at the end of it. Now, I've constantly had problems with this claw. It doesn't really hold Kong too well. You could of course bring him in and kind of clamp it around his waist, but it doesn't make a very firm grip on him, and the arms like to fall off. And really the best you could do is, if you're having Kong pose standing up, you can give him a little extra support with this, but I can get him to stand just fine on his own. What I was really hoping you'd be able to do with this is to get leaping poses and more crazy monkey stuff going on with this, and you can't. It just does not support his weight. The arm itself will, but the claw just will not grab onto him hard enough. It almost seems like it needs to be like what Hot Toys does with the flight stands that they do, where it's a spring-loaded claw so that it would be gentle enough not to scratch up the figure, but really just get a nice firm grip on the character and let you pose it. Because the plus side about the Tamashii arm is that you can actually tighten it up, but this claw is super crummy in that respect. Kong comes with a tree branch, which I really like, especially because I wanted him for a King Kong vs. Godzilla style pose, and it's kind of infamous in King Kong vs. Godzilla where he shoves the tree down Godzilla's throat, so it's kind of nice to have something similar here. But it's decent looking. It definitely has a wooden texture, looks very organic, so I like having him with that. And Kong comes with a wide array of hands. We get 2 fisted hands, we get 2 gripping hands, we get 2 knuckle walking hands, and we get 2 open hands, and we also get the hand with Andero in it. All the hands feature basically the same detail. You can see all the wrinkles and fingernails are sculpted into the hand, looking very realistic to a gorilla's skin, and then hair around the wrist where it will peg into the rest of the body. Of course, these gripping hands will hold the piece of tree that he has as an accessory, so you could have that as his weapon. As for the hand holding Anne, there's not a whole lot of detail on her. Same kind of gripping hand we had before. She's not removable from it, but you wouldn't really need to. But you can see the basic outline of her hair, her dress. But if we get in real close, there's no real facial detail or anything on her. So not an actual likeness to the actress, but it serves its purpose. Kong also comes with 3 different heads. We have the more stoic, relaxed face, which has a great facial expression. I love the one tooth coming out of his mouth there. He has the scar up on his side of his head. His eyes are very well painted, a dark orange and red, and the hair has some great detail. There's a good shading on it to give it texture and depth, and just the sculpt itself is very well done. We have the more comical head, and this is the one I use the least, but it's him kind of just hooting and laughing it up, and it's very well done, just not the look I like to pose Kong with, but it works, especially if you have the Ann in his hand. It's kind of a fitting face to put with that, but all the same detail in there, all the same kind of hair texture and the scar and everything else. And also you can see there is definitely some detail within the mouth as well. And then my personal favorite from the bunch, the screaming head. Just looks so angry. Some great detail on all the sharp teeth. They have a nice layer of kind of gunk on him to make him look like he's just has nasty teeth. His tongue in there, all the wet inside of his mouth. Very cool looking. The way the head connects is very simple. There's just kind of this oval shaped block that is on the body, and each head has the setup to plug into that, and it just pops right on there. I think it's a nice way to do it. You're not pulling off a ball joint constantly. It's something that's completely independent of the articulation, and I think that works very well. Looking at the rest of him, his chest is incredibly well sculpted. He's got all this scarring, kind of bloody marks all over it. He's got gorilla nipples going on. The hair texture all over the figure is just great, and the paint on it is subtle but definitely effective to bring out all the details. There's more scratches along his back and on his shoulder there. And they captured the look of a real gorilla very well. It's one of the big differences between Peter Jackson's Kong and any other Kong, is Peter Jackson's Kong actually looked like a real gorilla, and they kind of captured that very ape-like body shape to it, the long arms, the very stubby legs on him, his little gorilla feet, the toes sticking way out to the side, and even his hairy gorilla ass. For articulation, it's what you would expect with a Monsterarts figure. It's very well articulated. He has a ball joint at the base of the neck, allows him to look very far up, which is good when you have him walking on all fours, and then very far down, so you can't have him standing up and still able to look around. The joint does tend to pop off if you go too far, but it pops right back on. The head will also tilt side to side, but the one thing you can't really do with it is turn it too much. Just the way the neck back here is sculpted, so as not to leave a gap when you're moving the head around, it just does not allow it to actually rotate side to side. The shoulders are on a ball joint. They can move forward and back and a little out to the side. Oops. Out to the side is a little hindered. If you try to push it too far, it's going to pop right off, but you have a little bit of range there. We have a swivel at the upper bicep. We have a double joint at the elbow, which mine is pretty loose. And I actually had this fall apart on me right after I bought it, and I had to kind of go in and perform surgery inside the arm and reconnect everything, and it was a pain in the butt. There's a ball joint at the wrist, so you can move that all around. The upper torso, he has a ball joint, so you can lean very far forward and very far back, and he can also rotate, as well as tilt a little bit. He also has a waist joint where he can pretty much just swivel side to side, no real forward and back out of that joint. His legs are on ball joints, so they can go forward and back and out to the side. They are, of course, a little hindered because of this V shape of his crotch. They can't go straight forward. They always kind of go at an angle. He has a double jointed knee that doesn't have the best range of articulation, but it will move. And because pretty much everything on this figure is a ball joint, at least in the major joints, you can get a little bit of rotation out of it, but it's not really built for it. We have a ball joint at the foot and then two joints at the toe. It won't go up quite as far, but it will go down very easily. I wish it would go up further because it would make walking on all fours a lot more simple. And that is the biggest issue with Kong's articulation, because his elbows are kind of loose and because the leg joints aren't quite as movable as I wish they would be. He's very hard to actually get into that walking on all fours pose. He's much easier to pose just on 2 feet. So overall, sadly, I think this is one of my least favorite Monsterarts figures. And that's not saying he's a bad figure. He has a whole lot of options. There's a lot of different poses and hands and faces you could put with him, and you could really kind of get the Kong that you want out of this figure. But something about it to me just somehow lacks the fun of the Toho Monsterarts figures. It all just doesn't seem to work quite as well. I'm still going to recommend him, but it's a very weak recommend, which is pretty uncommon with the Monsterarts line. I'm normally pretty excited about all these figures, and Kong is, well, yeah, I have Kong. I don't really care, but I have him. And honestly, if I'm going through the list of the ones I have in my head, he's the one I always tend to forget. But hey, you never know. Now that Godzilla's gotten a reboot from Legendary and they're rebooting Kong with Skull Island in a few years, maybe we'll get a new version of Kong coming up. That'd be pretty cool. Or at least I hope it will be. Make sure you check me out on Instagram, username Outside the Box Reviews. Also check me out on Facebook, link below. And until next time, it's been our Outside the Box Reviews, a Giant Monster Monday. Stay tuned for more to come.